This is the Election Bureau. Hello and welcome to the Channel One Newsroom from our studios at number 5, Wulahansi Lane at Tesano here in Accra. My name is Nana Tuffour Boateng. Coming up, Electoral Commission holds recollation of parliamentary and presidential election results. NDC files ex-party injunction to halt in Nsawam Aduajiri constituency election collation, citing illegality.
The process was served on Daniel Nyamiche of Confidential Registry of the Electoral Commission. All the process, the writ, the injunction, duly served. Bosman had confirmed knowledge of it. The commission must call their people too.
Also coming up, Ghana police detain over 120 suspects in connection with post-election violence and intensify security at Cholera.
All the 123 suspects that have been arrested in connection with various acts of lawlessness are being taken through the due process of the law.
Still to come, President-elect John Dramani Mahama calls for investigation into alleged last-minute recruitment. Meanwhile, government denies allegations of last-minute recruitment by Mahama transition team.
Which is new after we lost the election. The Ghana Police Service, the Ministry of Interior, since August, made an announcement of financial clearance that they've received since January. These are public exercises and publications on your respective media houses and online portals will reflect the narrative as I am putting it out today.
And later, 14 deaths confirmed in Western region due to cholera outbreak.
These 8 districts have managed over 800 cases, and that is a lot. We have lost 14 people so far. Currently, the epicenter is Sekondi, Takoradi, Ekma, and adjoining districts, Shama, and then Ahantawo.
In CNR Business, IMF warns delays in parliamentary approval of donor funds could derail Ghana's economic stabilization. Grateful to you for keeping faith with us here on Channel One TV. Let's bring you details of our stories now. The Electoral Commission has announced a halt in the recollation of presidential and parliamentary election results at the Tesano Police Depot. This decision comes after disruptions by political party supporters during the collation process, which impacted the completion of results for certain constituencies. Now, the Commission informed political parties of the change in location after consulting with the Inspector General of Police. Despite the pause, results for Fantiakwa North, Akwatia, and Suhum constituencies were successfully declared. Now, the Commission meanwhile, has urged all stakeholders to work together for the successful conclusion of the process. Now let's move on to some other stories. And the National Democratic Congress, NDC, says it has filed an ex-party injunction application on the Nsawam Aduajiri election collation. This is to further prolong the collation, which the NDC describes as an illegality. Now, according to the NDC, an MP-elect had already been declared by the returning officer, and any attempt to recollate and declare their opponent as winners will not be accepted. Meanwhile, the NPP says it remains resolute in ensuring the collation and declaration of their candidate as the winner. Fred Duho has more.
On day 2 of the collation and the intended declaration of results for the Nsawam-Medrejiri constituency is being characterized with chaos, where parties to this particular constituency would not agree on the way forward. Earlier, they disagreed on the fact that the Electoral Commission had a pink sheet with different figures compared to what the two parties, NDC and NPP, had on their pink sheets. And so that became a whole lot of issue that lasted and wasted more time, more than an hour, leading to the parties to agree on the modality to set that aside and then progress with the rest of the pink sheets. Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, the man in charge of the research activities for the National Democratic Congress, came in with some news indicating that they have managed to call on the Electoral Commission to call for an emergency IPAC meeting, and so the process should come to a halt. That also brought the situation under some intense debate that lasted 4 minutes.
They've just called it, and the emergency IPAC meeting is about to start. He has been giving instruction. So on what basis is he going to say that they say he should continue and the others will stop? Is it not the same thing? We are doing the same thing. It is an emergency IPAC meeting. It must stop. This process must halt.
They once sent us a message by text followed by a formal letter. Let him prove a text showing there's an IPAC meeting. I don't believe it. Give us a proof that there's an IPAC meeting. What is it?
The director
give us the
confirmed that instruction has been given to him that
no one has
stop the process.
That ask the East officer. I think no. So yeah, come and lie here.
The legal director for the National Democratic Congress, Eduti Tameklo, later came with the news that there has been an application for an ex parte injunction on the process for the collation of the Nsawam-Medrejiri constituency, and so the EC and its parties to this whole conversation do not have any right to proceed with the collation and declaration of results for the 82 pink sheets that were remaining for these particular constituencies. He's been addressing the media on this issue.
The process was served on Daniel Nyamiche of Confidential Registry of the Electoral Commission. All the process, the writ, the injunction, duly served. Bosman had confirmed knowledge of it. The commission must call their people to call.
Who are the parties to this particular thing?
Okay, so it is Amenope, Philibert, Fume. Yeah, the first defendant is Frank Anodompre. The second, Electoral Commission of Ghana. This is the process.
The New Patriotic Party later addressed the press where they indicated that all the issues being raised by the NDC are palpable falsehood, and the indication to send the wrong signal to their base out there to perpetrate violence. And so everything that is happening at this particular coalition center is legal, it is allowed in law, and so they would proceed unless the EC decides otherwise.
They are questioning why a collation should be done at a police station. They should go and check the gazetted collation centers for the 2024 elections. Tatali Sanguli constituency, the collation center was the police station. We are here because they have sent in their hoodlums, causing chaos, doing all manner of things that is illegal and inimical to this our democracy. And media has captured all these things. We are here for the safety of the individuals, the safety of officers, the safety of the citizens of Ghana, to have this exercise done and declarations are made so that the Electoral Commission can go ahead and gazette so that we will have a new president sworn in. For us, we are not here to threaten the police. We are not here to threaten the police. We are here to speak to the law, and the law must work.
It's been more than 48 hours since the attempted collation of the 4 polling stations from the Eastern region, the Suhum constituency, Fantiakwa North constituency, and Akwetia constituency, together with the Nsawam Edwejiri constituency. The other 3 constituencies managed to collate and declare their results. That even the NDC has issue with that. But generally, we are here because of the Nsawam Edwejiri constituency that has about some 82 pink sheets with issues that has now left all of us wondering what next if the Electoral Commission does not show the leadership needed at this crucial moment. My name is Fred Duho, reporting from the Coalition Center here at the Tesano Police Training Depot for Channel One News.
Well, let's bring you more on this. Fred Duho, who's been covering the collation and recollation of the disputed results for the various constituencies, joins me now in studio. Fred, what a day it has been.
I mean, it's been a very long day yesterday till now. It's been a very, very long day, a tiring one at that. Yeah.
But good stuff, and thank you so much for the good job you've been doing. In the early hours of the day, the Member of Parliament for Nsawam Edwejiri, Frank Anodompre, I want to put it in the right context, was not available to be served.
Commission is right, because they were there throughout till the following morning. If they've been able to pack their materials and checked out of that place, it means basically that nothing is going to happen again, or they've either received the same message that you've just read to the public, they've also received the same communication to that effect. They've, placed everything on hold, and they've moved back to wherever they are coming from.
What was the reaction of the 2 vested parties to this particular decision?
Before we left the grounds, the NDC indicated that they want to put it on record, that they don't want the situation where, at this moment, we've all seen on camera that the EC officials, they packed their things and left the premises, and the security were also waiting for us to exit so they can log the said collation center. They don't want the situation where anyone would come later illegally with the Electoral Commission officers to, perpetuate any illegality, they describe it. And so they made that final presser, or they addressed the press before they left the collation center. And by the time we're leaving, the NPP, they've already gotten wind of the information, and most of them left their premises.
Was the MP still present?
Yes, the NDC, they were present. And
the MP?
The MP,
Frank
yes, he was present when he was there. I saw him leave together with Obiamwa. He entered his vehicle and left before Obiamwa also followed, and so they were the very last people I saw leave the premises of the police CID Detective Training Center. Generally, it's been one of a contentious seat that both parties are laying claim to. The NDC is saying that they've won. The NPP is also saying they've won convincingly. And so until the Electoral Commission takes them to a place where they feel it is safe for them to recollate the results, they would not be clear in their mind that the NDC has been declared the winner. The NDC is also maintaining that so far as they have been declared winners, there's no way they are going to allow for any recollation.
So the status quo should remain.
So for them, they're going to do everything within their rights to ensure that they still maintain this Nsawam Edwejiri seat.
Very well. Thank you so much, Fred, and kudos to you for all the good work that you've been doing. Let's bring you more on this matter, but let's scale it up to the national level, because the NDC says its decision to file an injunction to stop the Electoral Commission from continuing with the recollation is based on its view of illegality. The party claims it was not informed prior to the decision to recollate the parliamentary results under contention at the police depot. Akosia Ochere has the details.
The National Democratic Congress has raised concerns over the recollation of election results and the police training school for 4 constituencies in the Eastern region, calling it illegitimate. Now, during a press conference on Friday, Asiedu Nkita, was national chairman of the NDC, stated that recollation efforts were ordered by the Electoral Commission and the NDC was not consulted before the recollation.
We're just here when we heard that our Electoral Commission and the police have decided that the outstanding what they call outstanding constituencies, or constituencies where there appear to be some conflicts. They are inviting all of them to come and do collation and recollation. For some of us, when we were asked by our officials in the constituencies, we told them plainly that we didn't have any notice about it and we are not involved. In fact, I advised some of them not to appear. We don't want to, engage in anything that will escalate tensions. So we have proceeded to court and have applied to injunct the process that is going on there.
The national chairman also warned chiefs to desist from participating in the ongoing feud.
I hear that in some places, chiefs are involving themselves in this electoral process and on commission officers not to proceed to do their work according to law. We are also advising Nananom that it is for very good reasons that the Constitution provides that Nananom should not be involved in active partisan politics. But if they choose to descend into the arena of controversy, then they know the consequences will be obvious.
For the National Democratic Congress, the decision to recollate the results in Accra is against the laws of the country. While they, however, boast of their majority numbers in Parliament and are poised to work towards achieving their goals, that is, in their own words, reset the country. Reporting for Channel One News, Akosi Altre.
Now, the Ghana Police Service has revealed that over 120 individuals arrested in connection with post-election violence are in custody and undergoing various stages of legal processing. Among these, 4 suspects are scheduled to be arraigned. The police have also intensified security measures at the Tesano Police Training School, where the Electoral Commission earlier was collating results before the process was halted by the Commission. These results were from outstanding constituencies in the just-ended general election. Now, providing these updates during a press briefing, the Director of Public Affairs for the Ghana Police Service, ACP Grace Ansan Akrofi, assured the public of continued efforts to maintain law and order.
24 hours, no major incident has been recorded. With the exception of a police investigation into an attack on 3 missionary Catholic priests in Nkwanta in the Oti region by some youth. Police efforts are underway to get these suspects arrested to face justice. Upon the request of the Electoral Commission for maximum security, for the collation of the outstanding result from 4 constituencies in the Eastern region, its collation was removed from the original location to the National Police Training School yesterday, and this process has been ongoing since yesterday. We would also like to once again inform the public that all the 123 suspects that have been arrested in connection with various acts of lawlessness are being taken through the due process of the law. 4 of the suspects that were arrested yesterday are also being processed accordingly.
This is the Channel One Newsroom, still to come. Women's advocacy groups expressed dissatisfaction with modest increase in women's representation in Ghana's parliament following the 2024 elections. Stay with us, we'll be right back with the details.
Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen of the media. Let me also commend you for your prompt response to our invitation to address the nation through you, in spite of the short notice. We have decided to go slow on addressing the media so that we don't inflame passions and tensions that usually attend elections such as the one we've just gone through. But it seems to us that our silence is being taken advantage of by both the Electoral Commission and the New Patriotic Party to continue with the impunity they have been known for the past 8 years. The subject of today's presser has to do with what is happening at the police training school in Tesano. Some people call it recollation, some people call it collation, and so on. But whatever name you call rose, it will still smell sweet. And a decorated donkey still remains an ass. It cannot be turned into a horse. We in the NDC believe that what is happening at the police training amounts to illegality. It is not founded on any laws of our elections. Neither is it based on any consensus that has been reached between the parties and the Electoral Commission. And so we want to inform the nation and to give notice to any officials of the commission and the police who are involved in the perpetration of that illegality to know that there could be consequences of their actions in future. We know the process of our elections is quite clear. After voting, votes are counted and the results entered on what we call the result declaration forms, or the pink sheet, and the presiding officer at the polling station proceeds to announce the outcomes at the polling stations, after which all party agents sign and then are given copies of the results. The reason is that everybody will be having the same figures simultaneously. That is one of the most important checks in our elections. And that is why we always say that elections are won or lost at polling stations. Now, after what has been declared at the polling station, the law requires the presiding officer to paste a copy of the results declared at the polling station at the place where the election took place. And then, after all these declarations have been done at the various polling stations, then the parties, together with the Electoral Commission, will now meet at a constituency collation center, where the originals of the results declared at the polling station, which will be in the possession of the Electoral Commission, will be produced and tallies are made out of that.
Grateful that you stayed on with us. Let's bring you some more stories. Some women's advocacy groups have expressed dissatisfaction with a modest increase in women's representation in Ghana's parliament following the 2024 parliamentary elections. The representation has risen slightly to 15.94% compared to the 14.5% seen in the 8th parliament. Now, out of the 276 constituencies, only 44 women have been elected, while to dominate with 232 seats. Ejubi Wiafia-Kenteng has more.
In Ghana's 8th parliament, women constituted 14.5% of the total membership, with both the New Patriotic Party and the National Democratic Congress fielding 20 female representatives each. This marked the highest number of female MPs since independence. However, preliminary results from the 2024 parliamentary elections show a marginal increase in representation, with 44 women elected as MPs, making up 15.94% of the total. The remaining 232 seats were secured by men, representing 84.06%. While the Electoral Commission is still finalizing results in some contested constituencies, these figures have reignited discussions surrounding the affirmative action law. The law aims to increase women's participation and representation in governance, targeting a minimum of 30% and ultimately striving for 50% by 2030. Speaking to Channel One News, Agnes Titriku, Programs Manager at the African Center for Parliamentary Affairs, noted the challenges faced by women MPs in the 8th Parliament. She highlighted the difficulties they encounter in advocating for women and marginalized groups.
Parliament itself, in constituting its committees, is mindful to make sure that both men and women are represented across all committees, as the numbers permit. If you have 40, there are only so many committees one person can serve on. So, which means when you take the average, any committee in Parliament, the composition will generally skew towards the men. Our population, our census shows that women are more than half of Ghana's population, and so it is important that when you take the highest decision-making body in the land, as far as representative decision-making is concerned, it is in our interest that we have many more women sitting in there.
Women advocacy groups have expressed dissatisfaction with the modest gains in women's representation. They believe that passing the affirmative action bill earlier could have significantly improved the number of female MPs in the 9th Parliament.
The number is very low, which is 14.5% in the 8th Parliament. So we are hoping that the law will make a difference. The only challenge, one of the key challenges, is that this law was assented to came into effect late in September. By then, most of the bigger parties, the two major parties that we have in our country, had already done their primaries. So in terms of how it would have an impact on it, we knew it was negligible. But looking forward, we are hoping that as the law takes full effect, something would happen.
Another significant point is the number of women who contested the 2024 elections compared to previous years. Out of 801 total contestants, 118 were women. Sheila Menka Premo, convener for the Affirmative Action Law Coalition, highlighted various factors contributing to the low participation of women in this year's elections.
If we look at the data on poverty, etc., many women in Ghana are not so wealthy as compared to their male counterparts, and therefore finding that resources that is required, sometimes they have to rely on what they call godfathers, and that comes with a lot of conditions that some women are not prepared to deal with. Again, we have what we call as part of the cultural things that we are associated with, which is the gender division of labor in the home. Most women, when you grow, of course men as well, you're expected to get married, settle, etc. But the responsibilities that women are associated with being a marriage in the home appears to be more than, it appears to require a lot of time.
Despite persistent concerns over women's participation and representation in politics, advocates remain optimistic following the historic election of a female vice president.
It is a very big win for us. Representation matters. And I want to stress it again, representation matters. Having the first, a woman being the vice president is a big win for all women in Ghana. And as she said in her acceptance speech, in her speech when the EC declared, she's going to hold the door for more women. And that is very instructive because if we didn't achieve some targets through the elections, there is room for appointments to political offices to reflect these gender targets we are all talking about.
In the 9th Parliament, Ghana is expected to see a slight increase in the number of women elected to occupy decision-making bodies. Now, women advocacy group and stakeholders believe that there is more room for improvement for the country to be able to attain its goal of a minimum of 30 to 50% women representation by the year 2030. Reporting for Channel One News, my name is Ejubi Wiafe Akente.
Let's now bring you a rather unfortunate story where 3 people have been tragically burnt to death, while 9 others who sustained varying degrees of injury have been rushed to the hospital following a fire outbreak at Stadium Junction in the Obuasi municipality of the Ashanti region. Now, the fire resulted in the destruction of and 1 minibus. Another salon car was partially burnt and 4 metal containers along with other valuables also destroyed by the blaze. Now, to get more updates on this incident, let's go over the phone lines and speak to Assistant Divisional Officer 1, Alex Kenate, from the PR Department of the National Fire Service. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Let me just first off ask if you have been able to identify the cause of the explosion.
So thank you very much, and good evening to yourself and to your viewers and listeners. The initial assessment we arrived at was that the fire or the explosion was as a result of indiscriminate welding, so to speak, welding that didn't take into consideration any safety precaution. So that is what came into using carbon. So it came into contact with other explosive and combustible material that caused the fire, that caused the explosion, which led to the loss of life and injury.
3 lives, unfortunately, have been lost, but how widespread was this explosion?
Well, the explosion started from a fitting shop, the welding department of a fitting shop. So it affected quite a number of buildings and 5 commercial structures, 3 being containers and 2 being concrete buildings were affected by the explosion. And unfortunately, we lost some lives, and then also some people got injured as a result of the explosion.
Right. Describe to us the nature of this area and how easily accessible or otherwise was it for your men to move in to combat this fire?
Well, accessibility, because it was a fitting shop, accessibility was a bit of a problem. The unfortunate thing for us is the fact that we always talk about the fact that our fire tenders are old and need to be replaced. So at the time the explosion happened, our fire tender at Obuasi was out of commission. So we have to rely on our team from Angogo, Ashanti, and then also from Fomena Fire Station to get there. So I would say that was a major challenge for us.
Did this affect your response time?
Exactly, it does, because obviously, because the tender at Obuasi wasn't on a much further tender, which affected our response time. But we did our best and then made sure that within a few hours we were able to finally extinguish the fire.
Very well. Before you go, what will be the word of caution for artisans or welders or mechanics who operate in a similar condition? What will be the word of caution or advice for these persons and, of course, residents around such areas?
Okay, so would advise people that these times are highly unpredictable times, that they have to be much more careful and mindful, very mindful and careful when dealing with fires. We advise against indiscriminate burning. The welding causing fires, this is not the first time we are recording such an incident. There was a similar incident at Channel One 247, which was as a result of welding. There was another fire at Senka FM, which was also as a result of welding. So the menace of welding causing fires like this has become quite a worrisome situation, and we urge people to take their safety as important as they do with their security, so that when welding, you make sure that your welding is far away from any combustible materials that can cause any fires. So then that's what would give a caution. People should be mindful that it's the Harmattan season, so they should be very mindful when using anything that involves fire.
Very well. Alex Kenathi, thank you so much for your time. Assistant Divisional Fire Officer 1, Alex Kenathi, is with the Public Relations Department of the Ghana National Fire Service, speaking to us there regarding that incident at Stadium Junction in Obuasi. Let's move on to some other stories. Now, President-elect John Dramani Mahama has called on the Joint Transition Team to investigate alleged last-minute recruitment into various ministries, departments and agencies. The President-elect made the remarks during a meeting with the UK envoy.
The Office of the President-elect John Mahama today welcomed the delegation by the UK led by its ambassador to Ghana, Harriet Thompson. The mission was to congratulate the former president on his re-election. John Mahama, as he welcomed the visit, spoke on issues bordering the energy sector, economy and the ongoing plans for a successful transition. He, however, called for a probe into the alleged last-minute recruitment by government.
The cooperation we are expecting is what is ongoing. There are few signals that have been raised in respect of some contracts that some parastatals are trying to sign off at the last minute that will commit government, the new government, even before it has come into office. And so it's something that we've raised a signal about. And it's my hope that the Joint Transitional Team would take a look at it and deal with it. There are also reports of last-minute mass recruitments into all the agencies, which will be a liability on the new government. And so that's something we've asked them to take up at the Transitional Team meeting and see how we can deal with those issues.
Ambassador Harriet Thompson spoke highly of John Mahama's 120-day social contract.
Enforcing your 120-day plan, it highlights a number of areas where your interests and our interests coincide, thinking about health, education, but perhaps particularly economic growth, job creation. We want to offer up our expertise to assist however that might be useful to you. We're interested also in what you have said before the election and since around governance, around getting on top of corruption. These are areas also that matter a huge amount to the UK. They're areas where we're learning across the world how to do better. So again, we're keen to talk with you. We've benefited in the past from senior level dialogues, ministerial level dialogues that happen regularly through the year, covering economics and the commercial relationship, trade and investment, as well as security and defence, where our areas of collaboration are very broad. So we're keen to continue to work with you in those areas particularly and make the most of those senior level dialogues. But mostly for now, we want to say a huge congratulations and we want to offer our support to you and to your incoming government as you take on this huge responsibility, given with such a significant majority of the vote over the weekend. Congratulations, Excellency, and to all of your team, Her Excellency, Prof. Jane as well.
This is the Channel One Newsroom here on Channel One Television. Still to come. 14 deaths confirmed in Western region due to cholera outbreak. We'll tell you more shortly. Don't go away.
EC copies. But to check that EC itself will not play games, all the participating parties will have their collation agents at the collation center, and they will come there with copies of each of the polling station results, so that when the EC collation, constituency collation officer mentions a polling station by name and code and mention the figures, then all the parties that have copies of the pink sheets will now verify and check whether the figures on their copies of the pink sheet tally with what the Electoral Commission is mentioning. This provision is a check on the Electoral Commission officers so that they themselves cannot perpetrate fraud during the elections. Now, after we all agree on the figures as mentioned, because if everything is right, all the figures must tally, because the pink sheets are filled in quadruplicate, duplicate, quintuplicate, or whatever the case may be, depending on the number of candidates. So everybody will have the same copy. So the moment figures change and you find parties holding different documents with different tallies of votes, then there is a big problem. And that problem cannot be pinned on a single political party, because the same way political parties are capable of perpetrating fraud, the Electoral Commission officers also are capable of perpetrating the same fraud. So you need to find a way of looking at it so that you can identify who did the wrong thing. But whatever happens, at the end of the collation at the constituency collation centers, the results are entered also on the collation sheet and are signed and certified and pronounced upon by the returning officer. And in our elections, in our general elections, you have two categories of returning officers. The returning officer for parliamentary elections and the returning officer for presidential elections. And they alone have exclusive powers to pronounce the outcomes of the elections, and nobody else. That is why it takes the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, who is the designated returning officer for presidential elections, to pronounce on the presidential elections. No other person can pronounce on the presidential elections apart from the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. In much the same way, at the constituency level, the law mandates only the return.
You're welcome back to the Channel One Newsroom. To some more stories, and the government has denied allegations made by the Mahama transition team regarding last-minute recruitment. This comes after a meeting between the joint transition team earlier on Friday. Akusia Ochre was there for us and has this report.
The joint transition team, which was inaugurated on Wednesday, today Friday, met for the second time. The spokesperson for the incoming government, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, spoke to the media on one meeting.
Beyond the 3 subcommittees that were inaugurated the last time, other committees have been formed on various thematic areas, and they'll be getting to work immediately. They've been populated. Provision has been made for support from technical persons, both on the government side and on the NDC side. So we expect that they will get to work immediately. We have received both hard and soft copies of the handing over notes. So we'll be looking through them in the coming days, and it will inform the work that the various committees do. So it's been quite fruitful.
I know it's early days yet, but have you drawn a budget? Because I remember...
There's no issue of a budget. We have made it clear that we are not going to burden the states with any amount whatsoever regarding budgets. The most we will need is office space and some support staff, that's all.
Now, there were allegations of last-minute recruitment to some public offices and also a $240 million payment to a company that was working with the electricity company of Ghana. Now, these were allegations made by the incoming government, but these allegations have been debunked by the incumbent government.
As late as 20th December 2016, the former president and president-elect appointed a Sharad board for us. Because it was a legal appointment, that Sharad board has been in office since 2016 to date. You get the point. They appointed an NCC commissioner for us. And it did not change because we have to, when they raise points that the mandate says 4 years, not 3 years, 10 months, or 3 years, 11 months. And if there is anything untoward, whatever provisions or policy direction that the incoming government has, they have the opportunity and resources to do whatever they deem fit.
All said, are you recruiting people?
I am saying that there is no recruitment which is new after we lost the election. The Ghana Police Service, the Ministry of Interior, since August, made an announcement of financial clearance that they've received since January. These are public exercises, and publications on your respective media houses and online portals will reflect the narrative as I am putting it out today.
The Joint Transition Team has adjourned its meeting, but has promised to carry a spirit of collaboration in this transition time. Reporting for Channel One News, Akosi Autry.
The Western Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Yao Ofori-Yeboah, has confirmed 14 fatalities linked to the ongoing cholera outbreak in the region. The Sekondi, Takoradi Metropolis and Efiakwen-Semitim municipality have been identified as the hardest hit areas. Now, speaking to the media in Takoradi, Dr. Yeboah emphasized that the Regional Public Health Promotion Office has ramped up awareness campaigns and implemented preventive measures, including a ban on vegetable sales by food vendors. He urged residents to follow precautionary guidelines to curb the spread of the disease.
About eight districts have reported cholera cases, and I must say that up to now, the facilities within these 8 districts have managed over 800 cases, and that is a lot. We have lost 14 people so far. Currently, the epicenter is Sekondi, Takoradi, Ekma, and adjoining districts, Shama, and then Ahanta West. So we are appealing to everybody to take the basic precautions that health people have been telling the population. It's so important. If you don't do that, we are going to lose more people. So please, personal hygiene is very important. And the food that we eat, we must make sure that it is warm. We must wash our hands. All these things are very important. As soon as anybody starts getting these signs and symptoms, the person must report immediately to the nearest health facility. Please, there is no need to attempt to go to a bigger facility. The nearest facility, that's the most important thing. And we're also encouraging people, if you are getting ready to go to hospital, if there's ORS, let's prepare ORS and start taking it. But nobody should stay at home.
The National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, has added its voice to calls for the suspension of deliberations on the Free Senior High School bill, which is expected to be laid before Parliament when it reconvenes on December 16. NAGRAT contends that the bill, among other concerns, lacks sufficient stakeholder consultation.
Proposed bill drafted by the Ministry of Education aims to provide legal backing for the provision of free and compulsory education at the senior high school level. With Parliament set to reconvene on December 16, President of NAGRAT, Angel Kabonu, has called for a delay in deliberations to allow for broader consultations with stakeholders.
Free secondary school education. You would think they are just going to talk about the cost of free senior high school. But there are issues in this document that goes far beyond just government providing free senior high school education. It is our view that it is morally wrong for Parliament to be passing or enacting laws at its last sittings and proceedings, and that Parliament should allow, the current Parliament should allow the incoming Parliament that will be inaugurated on the 7th of January to peruse whatever bill or documents that are available, to have a more thoughtful and in-depth discussion with stakeholders before it is passed to law, that is, even if it is necessary.
Kabonu highlighted the key issues underlying NAGRAT's call for further consultation on the bill.
On whether funding should be for day students or for boarders, whether buffer stock should be distributing food or the school should buy their own food, which is even come to the stage where we are running double track, where teachers are complaining that they are not having rest, where we are having a situation where the children are going to school in such a manner that there is no certainty with regards to time, and what role parents can play in the education delivery of their children currently. All these things and many more have not been formally discussed with stakeholders.
He also advocated for a more targeted approach in the future implementation of President-elect John Mahama's tuition-free proposal for level 100 university entrance.
I even have a problem with that NDC policy that is going to give free entrance, free fee for all university students. I don't think, because the university students, only 65 senior high schools in this country provide 72% of the students for our main universities. And what are those secondary schools? I'm talking about Prempeh, I'm talking about Wesley Girls, I'm talking about Presec. They provide over 70% of students in our universities. So can we do some targeting rather than the blanket free fee for senior high school, for university, for whichever? Money is not available in our country, and we need to spend money prudently.
NAGRAT believes a broader stakeholder engagement on the free senior high school bill will provide effective solutions to the issues surrounding the implementation of the policy. Reporting for Channel One News, Fauzuma Saudu, Accra.
You're still watching the Channel One Newsroom. Next is CNR Business with Neteli Neti Ajaho.
CNR Business is brought to you by MTN and EcoBank.
Hello and welcome to CNR Business. My name is Neteli Neti Ajahu. The program is sponsored by MTN and EcoBank. Now, the International Monetary Fund has raised concerns over delays in parliamentary approval for the disbursement of critical donor funds linked to Ghana's economic program. According to its latest IMF staff report, Parliament has yet to approve key World Bank programs, which are expected to unlock over $500 million for the country before the year ends. The IMF warns that these delays could have significant repercussions on government finances and the broader economy, potentially derailing efforts to stabilize the fiscal landscape. Now moving on, Ghana's tree crop industry, including cocoa, has gained a one-year reprieve as the European Union has postponed the enforcement of its deforestation regulation to December 30, 2025. The regulation, initially set for December 2024, requires exporters to prove their products are deforestation-free. Ghana, a major cocoa producer alongside Ivory Coast, faces unique challenges despite its advanced farm traceability systems. Illegal mining, or galamsey, continues to devastate the environment, posing a significant obstacle to compliance with the EU's strict criteria. The postponement follows months of uncertainty with Ghana's cocoa, oil palm, cashew and coconut sectors, which are crucial to the country's economy. Stakeholders argue that more government support is essential to address these compliance gaps. And that's all for CNR Business. It was proudly brought to you by MTN and EcoBank. My name is Netelinete Ajaho.
CNR Business was brought to you by MTN and EcoBank.
Every day, people have money emergencies.
Officer in the constituency to pronounce on the outcomes of the parliamentary elections in those respective constituencies. No other person. The chairperson in Accra of the Electoral Commission cannot pronounce the outcomes of the parliamentary elections in any constituency. The regional directors of the EC cannot pronounce on the outcome of constituency elections, even though they may be superior officers to the constituency returning officers. The district officers, if they are not designated as returning officers, cannot announce or declare the results of parliamentary elections. Because returning officers, while they are designated before the election, they are sworn in that.
Well, that's how we wrap up today's bulletin on the Channel One Newsroom. But before we go, let's do a recap of our headlines. Electoral Commission holds recollation of parliamentary and presidential election results. NDC files ex-party injunction to halt in Nsawam-Adoejiri constituency election, citing illegality. Ghana police detain over 120 suspects in connection with post-election violence. President-elect John Dramani Mahama calls for investigation into alleged last-minute recruitment. Meanwhile, government denies allegations on its Mahama's transition team. And over 14 deaths confirmed in Western region due to cholera outbreak. Visit our website, ChannelOneNews.com, for more information on our top stories and more. Subscribe to Channel One TV on YouTube for more exclusive video content. My name is Nana Tuffour Boateng. Many thanks for watching.